It is the 1st of August 2011 here in Fernie, BC. The weather is beautiful, but has been cool for the previous month of July. Flowers and grasses are delayed for the season. We are here for a couple of weeks visiting our sons who live here. I thought it would be a nice idea to have the airplane here, but there are no airports nearby. So the first thing I do is I befriend a farmer who farms a little ways out of the town of Fernie, and he allows me to use one of his fields as a runway, except I have to cut the grass on it first, which I do. I then call Bill in Manitoba and see if he'd like to fly the Cub up, which he agrees to. The flight is a little over 800 miles, but he can easily make that in one trip with good weather, which it seems to be. Here is a shot of the runway that I made on the grass field, but we do have a little misunderstanding as to where exactly the runway is, and because I wasn't out there in time, Bill saw another farmer driving around with a truck similar to mine on this field off to the left, which is about half a mile from where I was working on this field. But anyway, through his good pilot skills, he landed the airplane and everything was good. This is the field Bill landed on. It is really kind of roller coaster looking here, but he landed on a level part further up the hill. Now the whole field is quite tilted, but there was no problems. So here we are in Fernie on a very sloped field. Bill has landed on here, and he's getting ready to take off now. Now that lump of bush there, that greenery up ahead, is the little hill that separates the two fields. And although they're only about half a mile apart, they are about 2 or 3 miles by car. Hosmer. Now we're taking off downhill here, and although we're at 3,500 feet approximately, the Cub performs very well. We take off to another strip in town, which we use for the remainder of the trip. It is one that was made by another pilot who owned a 180 right alongside the river, and although it looks narrow and short, it was good. We use this for the next 2 or 3 days to work out of, to fly and explore the mountains. The first place we went exploring was to the southeast corner of the province, which was really unpopulated, and the mountains were not quite as high, and the area was called the Flathead River. We did some exploring around that. We were really on a quest to find some river bars to land on, but we could not find any that were really long enough. They all seemed to be covered with deadfalls. What was especially nice about this too was the weather was, first of all, nice and warm, but calm winds. We saw a lot of interesting rock outcrops and rock ledges. And now the elevation is only about maybe 4,000 feet here. But there were certainly some box canyons that you wouldn't want to try and fly into and have to turn around. We did most of our flying with the window open because it was nice and warm and calm. And of course we could get a good bird's eye view of the town that way. And of course there was no air traffic around. There was only the one other helicopter that we heard at one point, but there was no air traffic around, so we could pretty much fly wherever we wanted to. This is a view of the Ferdy ski hill from up above, and of course midsummer. There might be some snow up high on some of the other peaks, but it was pretty green looking down there. The next day, the weather was again calm and warm. So we went up, this time exploring some of the mountain tips to the west of us, which were a little higher. Actually, the highest ones in the area. But nothing was really over 5,000 feet, if I can remember. Well, after seeing a lot of these mountain tops, we went to an area that was called the Bull River. It was west and a little bit north of the town of Fernie. And this was a beautiful, clear river that we flew along for probably 5-6 miles. Well, after 5 days of good weather, we had played enough up there, and it was time to send the airplane home, take the airplane back across the prairies. The weather was still supposed to be good for another day, but then things were going to change, and they sure did. I'll show you a bit of video that I took of the trip across the prairies 2 days later. On August 5th, Bill left first thing in the morning back to Manitoba and got home uneventfully. Well, have a good trip, Bill.
Thank you very much, John, and the same to you. We'll see you back home.
Roger. Over and out. Bye-bye now.
Take care.
This is what the weather was like driving back home across the prairies about 2 days after Bill had left. Like a funnel cloud, but it's horizontal. We were expecting to see some big winds and some real weather, but it actually didn't amount to anything at all. But it sure was scary looking for a while. It was a good feeling to know that the airplane was back at home in Steinbach, inside the hangar. Beginning of a twister, I think.